don't understand why you're 40 years old and playing the game still. So.
Well, I mean, what game do you think you're going to be playing when you're 40? When do you think you're going to stop playing games? What's the age? What's the cutoff age?
When you're out of high school and college.
You're a high school kid?
Yeah, I'm in high school. Yeah.
How old are you?
Why does it matter?
Well, I mean, you foresee yourself in the future quitting something you love, like video games? Do you not love video games? You just cruise through it.
I mean, I think it's a little bit of a waste of time when you're that old. So.
Well, how do you know? You're not old yet. I mean, I can think of probably reasons that video games would be a waste of time for a high school kid, too. Do you have a 4.0? Are you in honor classes to get more than a 4.0?
No, but...
You know what I'm saying? There's more things you could be doing to improve your life than playing video games, too, right?
Yeah, you studying, not playing games.
Hey, just recreation, man. Having fun. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
All right, then.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Week in Culture. My name is Brian. I'm here with John, the problematic white guy, and we got lots of news, topics, games stuff going on that I want to discuss. So I hope you guys are doing well this Saturday. It's a beautiful day here in Virginia. So how are you doing, John?
Oh, no complaints. Awesome as always. Did a late night stream with Leon last night, and I've kind of just been up since. So this is.
So you're not getting any sleep?
Oh no! I slept. I slept yesterday midday, or in the evening, and then woke up like right before midnight. So I'm at the halfway point of my day.
Well, I see.
Yeah, well, because I stream now with reality based all the time and Will of the Fans, so I effectively had to change the time zone that I operate in to the other side of the world.
Oh yeah, they're in the UK.
Yeah, so reality based is out of Wales, since Ryan Roger he's a Welshman, and then Will of the Fans, he is based out of the Philippines. So I truly am dealing with an international audience.
Yeah.
So it's easy for me to just kind of be like, you know what? I'll just change my schedule. Not really much going on in the middle of the day anyway. So yeah.
All right. Well, that's good. Is that the guy that was on our show was Tuesday?
Ryan Roger yes.
That was Ryan. Okay.
Reality. Yeah, that's reality based. Yeah.
Sorry, I can't keep track of
it's
everybody's
all right.
thing. So, it was nice having him on, and maybe he can come on again sometime, or anybody else from the server. We should do a little cross pollination, as it were. But
now that it's a little bit easier doing it as people rather than as avatars. So
yeah, exactly. All right, so but I still do game streams too. So be on the lookout for. Well, I got some stuff planned. I'll let you all know towards the end, but we should probably just jump into the stories. So, All right. So let's start off. Hey, Daxonar, welcome. Why is the text so big? Whatever. On my screen, it's like, hail and morning, y'all. It's like huge letters. I don't know why. Okay. So also, I forgot the most important guest is JoJo, who is also here. So let me just move my Viv, and I'm going to put her in the center so you guys can see JoJo. And then we can get into it. Please put some pets in the chat for the dog, if you don't mind. Just let me know that you guys are watching and that you also like the dog. So let's start with the main title, main story, which is Asmongold. So Asmongold... this is from Game Rant, and it's been going around. Lots of people have had different opinions on this topic. Yeah. So, popular Twitch streamer Zach Hoyt, better known as Asmongold, is no stranger to controversy. He's well known in gaming circles for delivering hot takes on his streams, but some of his most recent comments have earned him some wider attention in mainstream press and a 14-day ban on one of his Twitch accounts. So what happened with the ban? So while he was streaming on his alt account, Zach Rar, which he often uses to talk about current events, Asmongold made some racially charged statements regarding the ongoing Israel-Palestine conflict. While he denied taking any explicit side in the conflict, the streamer made some disparaging remarks about Palestinians, notably saying that they come from an inferior culture and that he did not empathize with the large civilian casualty rate the conflict has caused. Because statements like those are a fairly cut and dry violation of the platform's terms of service regarding hate speech, Twitch reacted swiftly and banned his Zachrar account for 14 days. The banned account is not considered Asmongold's main account, but it is where he streams from most frequently as part of a years-long transition away from pure gaming content to sort of general chatting commentary. Asmongold's 3.5 million follower account of the same name has not been banned, though it has not been active since the controversy. I want to get into the apology because this is the bit that it concerns me the most. So shortly after the ban became public, Asmongold issued a statement via his X account addressing the situation. The post was apologetic for his lack of empathy towards the conflict, but seemingly made no apologies for other comments made about the Palestinian people. This did little to remedy the situation, and Hoyt later stepped down from his leadership roles at One True King, Starforge Systems, Mythic, and Mad Mushroom, the former of which he co-founded. A 20-minute long video response was posted on Asmongold's YouTube channel where he addressed the entire situation and its fallout in more nuanced terms. In the video, the streamer expressed more regret about the negativity he claimed had been dominating his content for recent years. So I saw okay, so this is the thing. My reason for bringing this up is actually pretty simple. Okay, if somebody asked me, and I know this has happened, I did a stream, I think it was when I was streaming #blood, and somebody came in my stream and basically like demanded that I, condemn, I don't remember which side, whether it was, the Palestinians or the Israelis, but I was asked to condemn. And it's like, this is completely irrelevant to what I'm doing right now, for one. Right. And honestly, like, I think that anyone should be able to have whatever opinion they want on something, and people shouldn't lose their shit. Now, remember, I'm looking at Game Rant right now. This is on Game Rant. They have a bias. They are, in fact, like, pro-Palestine. Now, I'm not against
the watermelon.
Yeah. What do you mean by that? All about the watermelon.
So like as opposed to putting flags in your bios, because watermelons have the same color as the Palestinian flag. A lot of people use a watermelon.
Oh, the watermelon. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, it's like doing that instead of just putting up the Palestine flag.
Yeah. I mean, it's coded language,
Yeah, but I see, even that I think is kind of weird. Like, if you're on the side of the Palestinians and you want to virtue signal by putting something in your bio, why is it any different to put a watermelon versus just putting the flag in? You're virtue signaling it either way. You might as well stand by it.
That's kind of the thing, though, is people are so weak to actually take a stand. Like, we're trying to we're breeding in weakness into every aspect of culture in terms of don't have an opinion, don't say things that are going to be too flagrant or racially charged or whatever. It's asinine.
Is it? And that's another thing too. Is it racially charged to side with one group of Middle Eastern people versus another group of Middle Eastern people? How is that? Right. They're calling it racially charged, but I don't. This is the thing about the way these people operate that's so infuriating, because this is essentially the conflict with Israel and Palestine is very old. And it's been going on for a very long time. Yeah, go ahead.
It goes so deep that the best thing that anybody could do, my take on it, is fuck them both. Because they're all crazy at this point in time when you're talking about a blood feud that goes back 1,000 years. Ostensibly, who started, who's to say, who gives,
and also it's not just two sides. There's multiple moving parts to this thing. There's a really great, very long-winded but very great podcast series called Martyr Made, and the guy who runs it, I actually am. It's in my Spotify. You can listen to it on Spotify. I would recommend you check it out. And you know, the guy in it goes deep, deep, deep into the history, not just between Israel and Palestine, but how that relates to World War I, World War II, even stuff before that. Like, it's really in depth. And my point is that there are people in what is called Palestine or Gaza or whatever that you know, they have nothing to do with what's going on, and they are basically just being victimized by the Israeli government. But at the same time, you know, there are things with what was going on with Israel before it became Israel, before it was established, that we can point fingers in all kinds of directions, is what I'm saying. But the point is that it is a mess. But see, this is the thing that I want to come back to this with Asmongold. So I think anybody should have an opinion on whatever. Asmongold's probably not super informed on what's going on down there. But you know what? I guarantee that most people who are chiming in are also not super informed. I count myself amongst those people, right?
Right.
So
yeah.
But
even
when
you know about what's going on, you don't really know about all of
I know
going on.
you know what you have been told by the cathedral. That's what you know.
Right.
So you're like, well, I watched CNN, and you know, I watched Newsmax, and I've watched such and such podcast, but that still isn't the whole picture, right? So you have to be humble enough to say, I don't really know what's going on down there, but, and this is the thing, like Asmongold saying that I prefer Western culture, I think it's superior. It's just a fact. Okay, I'm sorry, guys, but we have it good. We should be happy about that. Yeah, no, I'm serious. I know. I'm being a bit controversial, but for some people. But the truth is, not all cultures are equal. That's where this whole thing launches from. It comes from this idea that we're not allowed to say that.
Right.
And because he did say that.
I think that dates back to Trump when he said the shithole nation.
Yeah, shithole. You know, well, but and again,
shithole countries. Yeah,
we don't even know that he really said that. That's all like asserted, but nonetheless, yeah, if he did, he wouldn't be wrong. You know, because now they're eating the dogs and they're eating the cats.
Right.
But yeah. So like the point is that he's not being attacked for necessary. Like, okay, let's put it like this: he is being attacked because he said something disparaging about Palestinians. And so the left, because they side with Palestinians in this particular conflict, they've universally sided with them. They are coming after him, and there are people saying, "Oh, we don't." I think it was like the group that was called, I want to see if I can find it, Starforge Systems. They put out like a statement, and they were like, we don't discriminate. We're a loving company that's really good to people, and we believe the good things and agree with the good things, etc. And that was like their excuse for saying, you know, that essentially they're not going to associate with this guy anymore. And this is like the real crux, okay? Because like whatever the left sides with, that's going to be the thing you can't talk about. Not just in a bad way, but at all. You can only talk about it in the context of agreeing with them. Okay.
Exactly.
So So
I think my favorite meme that I've seen in all this is the missiles flying from one side of the screen to the other, and it says, my tax dollars somehow also my tax dollars.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, absolutely. And that well, you know what? That's kind of what it comes down to, because my belief is that we shouldn't be involved. And honestly, if somebody said, like, you know, we have an election coming up, if you guys haven't heard, I know it's been going, there's been talk around, right? Yeah, I know. It's just this little election that is, you know, may or may not have a significant impact on, you know, us going into possibly World War III, because I don't know if you know, but speaking of, you know, Palestine and Israel, boots on the ground, like American boots are on the ground now. And, you know, we don't want this. But like, people are asking me, you know, like, you can't vote for, you know, Trump because he's pro-Israel or whatever. And essentially relating it to this specific conflict. And the thing is, that is so low on my list of priorities. Like when it comes to what are the reasons to vote for shit. I would like to not be at war with the world. But that would be nice. Like, I don't care about, you know, he's siding with these people or that people. I want an economy that is worth a damn. I want my borders closed. I want illegals deported. I want Venezuelan gangs out of Times Square because they're basically taking over New York City and they're recruiting, like actual Americans into their gangs. I'd like that to stop. I'd like to be able to afford groceries and gasoline.
Yeah, that was Leon's take last night that I thought was really good. He's like, I just want to be able to buy eggs that don't cost $10.
I know, and that's the thing. Like, but then people are like, it's just like you're literally if your big thing is this conflict going on way over the fuck over there, okay, and I would just like that to stop, and I think Trump could stop it. But if your issue is that, then you're no different than the women who are like, I'm voting because abortion. Like, because that's what there's like a chunk of women, a large chunk, that are like, I don't care about gas prices. I don't care about open borders. I don't care about, the cost of living going up. I don't care about the lack of jobs. I don't care that productivity is not in this country and everything's being outsourced. I don't care about World War III. I want to have abortions, and they'll vote based on that only. And so that's no different.
According to them, it is better to be morally right than
factually correct. Yes, and the last thing I'll say regarding this is ultimately what this lands on is you never apologize to these people. It's like the primary rule, rule number 0. You know how like when you play, if anybody here plays tabletop gaming, there's something called rule 0. Rule 0 is if the rules get in the way of fun, change the rules. Okay, that's rule 0. That's before you even do it. Rule 0 for dealing with SJWs, for dealing with gay race communists, is never, ever apologize. Never, because they don't care and they will destroy you. They don't care. So you never, unless of course you've actually.
And once they have you on one thing, they have you on all things.
Yeah, that's right. Unless you have done something that you know is wrong and deserves an apology, you never apologize. It will not go well for you. Okay, and you will not be forgiven because, like, these people are religious zealots that don't believe in redemption. They don't believe in forgiveness. They don't believe in, let's say, humility. Like none of these things. So don't give it to them. Okay.
Right. There is no nuance or sophistication in there. Just simply is what, is acceptable and everything else.
Yes. So that's basically what I wanted to say about that. That is basically the primary issue I have with Asmongold's. I don't, I know he's basically a normie. He doesn't really like have a strong dog in this race in terms of what's going on. He just said, well, look, I don't know about them, but I like the United States. And I'm with that because the United States is, despite all of our problems, it's still a better country, a better culture than those. Right. And that's just what it is. So, okay. So I got
there's really not too much else to even really comment to it because if you do, that's when you might run into your own terms of service kind of violations. So like that's why I just leave it as simple as like, well, like it's like that scene from from Family Guy a couple of years. Children, you're both awful. It's like that's the situation.
I hope both teams have fun. That's the most important thing. Right. Okay, so let us know what you guys think about that. I did get a super chat from Serathis. Thank you so much. Here, I'll play a sound just for you.
What do you mean a real woman?
And he gives us 1,000 huffs. What's a huff? HUF. Oh, is it a Hungarian franc or something? Like, I don't know. Is it? Let me know. I'm not sure what that currency is, but thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And he says, the most apt description I heard is that Palestinians are the gypsies, Romani, of the Arab world, treated as such, behaving as such. Well, there you go. I would say, check out Martyr Made if you're really interested, but it is a lot. It's a lot of info. And the guy who created that podcast, he did an interview with Tucker Carlson a few weeks ago, and he got into a lot of shit for it. Like Tucker got into a lot of shit for having that guy on because he had this, he was basically explaining how the ways that Winston Churchill was kind of a villain in the story of World War II. You guys, have whatever opinion on it, but if you're interested in history, which I am, it might be worth listening to, So I would say check it out.
I can't remember the name of it right now, but it's like this 12-hour docu-series that kind of gets into like the inner workings of everything that was going on with world wars and kind of like Zionism and how that kind of like, kind of fuels a lot of the fires that have been stoked throughout history, and most people don't want to actually look at those aspects. So I'll just kind of leave it at that. I'll try to remember the name of it, and I'll bring it up on the next show or something like that.
Yeah, Martyr May does go into that. It might be a different one, but yeah, I mean, like the way we think of World War II, it's like a comic book. And that's why like it's obviously like really, really oversimplified. But anyway, let's move on from that to the next thing. But like essentially, the takeaway is never apologize to these people, no matter what. But of course, that's normie shit. Hopefully, he will learn from that. All right, moving on. We got to talk about some disasters in our media. So, Sweet Baby Inc.'s Infected Unknown 9 Awakening performs worse than Concord, only manages to 169 peak concurrent players. What was that now?
The thing I'm talking about, it's a docuseries called Europa, The Last Battle.
Oh, I heard about that. I heard about that.
It's like 12 hours long. Yeah. But that
I gotta get something. Hold on.
Yep. But yeah, that's definitely another one worth checking out that gets into the more sticky aspects of all this kind of stuff. And if people really want to have better informed opinions, you learn from history. You have to learn all the the actual details. And I think if people actually knew more of what was going on with that, they wouldn't be so quick to just kind of pick one side or the other, because there's really kind of the fog of war and everyone's kind of
you would just sort of, if you're not over there, probably just stay out of it,
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I don't want to talk too much more about that. Let's just get into the article, because I could go. That's a rabbit hole I could certainly go down on.
Yeah.
No, I hear you.
This is the title. Yeah.
So, check
it out. Europa, Last Battle.
All right. So anyway, the latest game to have Sweet Baby Inc. consult on it, Unknown 9 Awakening, performed worse than Concord on its release date, only managing to garner a peak concurrent player base of just 169 players. Steam DB data shows the game hit an all-time peak around 8 p.m. So this is the thing that we usually look at the end of the show. Let me see if I can bring it up here. Let me share this.
I mean, it seems as though it's kind of like what was the highest player count for Dustborn?
Oh, it was something like a couple hundred, I think. Oh no, you're less than 100. Wait, I'm getting Dustborn and Concord mixed up.
Right? Yeah. So many shitty titles.
Yeah, and honestly, I didn't, I remembered this game coming up in, early on when we started this whole Sweet Baby Inc. thing, and we were looking at all of their clients, and I saw that on the list there, but I didn't really think about it, after that, because I was like, well, I can just tell by looking at it, it's not going to sell. Fracus Maximus says 86. That might be right. And Sereth has corrected me. Still Hungarian forint. So it's Hungarian dollars. I hear you guys are pretty based over there in Hungary, by the way. But maybe I'm wrong. Okay. So anyway, it's Unknown 9 Awakening's peak is 75% less than Concord. These numbers are not all that surprising. Craig Skistimus, whatever. Stuttering Craig. So it makes me, I'm going to stutter trying to pronounce his last name.
Right.
Notice
that's how I came up with the name. Is I can't even say my own last name. Jesus.
Stuttering Craig noted that his retail insider informed him that pre-orders for this game were extraordinarily low. I wonder why. He shared, my retail insider, who has access to the 800 plus big box stores, pre-order numbers tell me that Unknown 9 Awakening had a total of 46 pre-orders, but 12 were canceled. So actually there were only 34 pre-orders in over 800 stores. Yikes. And
so that's 0.05% or something. That's a small.
And the thing is too, the game isn't just woke. From what I heard, it's just not good. I'll read a not recommended review here. And I'll share this tab with you guys so we can look at it together. It says, not recommended. Got this game for free because I got a new CPU and I gave it a try before AMD sent me an email about this being included in what I got for free alongside Space Marine 2. I didn't even know this game was a thing, and honestly, it should have stayed that way. The faces are clunky, the enemies just stiff up and fall like figurines when defeated. Ran okay, but during transitions, game almost blew itself up. Honestly, the game feels and looks like it's mid-development with no polish, should have cooked for at least another year. Save your money, this sucks.
Yeah,
So,
I think Hypnotic was playing it the other night for a few minutes. I caught a little bit of, it did not look good.
yeah, basically, it's buggy, its combat is shit, it's boring, it doesn't have a good story, it's got tons of technical issues, but it's diverse. And
Right.
so it's diverse, and it's inclusive. And
Right.
it's
Well, I guess that
equitable
means it's
somehow.
a hit. Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
But this gets to what I think is the important point about this story. Okay.
She looks a
the
little bit
quali-
like Cave Ass too.
Cave
Yes,
ass?
I call her Cave. A Cave Ass is what you know. Like
cave ass. Yeah.
From from Outlaws. Yeah, that's my
yeah.
affectionate name for her.
Oh, okay. Cave ass. Yeah. She does because she's supposed to be Indian, I think, this character. But again, like,
right.
it's the problem is this is exactly the problem summed up. This game, okay. The problem with this game is just like these other woke titles, and it basically puts it out there. You know how Alyssa Mercante says at the end of every show that we do, you know, the world is games are diverse because the world is diverse,
Mhm.
so it occurs naturally. No, it obviously does not, because these people, they prioritize. They make it the first priority that it has all of this woke, gay race, communist propaganda in it. And everything else, which are the things that matter, like the gameplay, and and whether or not it's going to work, like the game's functionality, and the art design, and whatever else, like the gameplay, the mechanics, etc. Those
the
all
narrative
take
design. You can't spell design without DEI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But all of the things that actually matter about a game take a back seat to this stuff. And so what ends up happening is you get a game half cooked, and it doesn't work, and it's not interesting, and it's not fun to play, but it's woke, so therefore it's good enough. And the thing is, and I'm going to tell you, I've been saying this for a very long time. The reason why this keeps happening, and it's going to keep happening, and it's going to happen to much bigger franchise. It's already happened to Ubisoft. Ubisoft is done, right? They're like, they're on strike now. They're trying to get paid more. They can't sell any games, but they think that they are entitled to essentially create markets. So they say, well, you have to buy our game because it's us and it's woke.
Right.
Are you a decent person? Give us $65 for, Assassin's Creed Shadows
65?
or whatever.
Dude, what do you mean? Hold on. That was a couple of years ago. Now it's like, give me fucking 70 minimum plus tax. So you're looking more at like 80. And a lot of these games, you want the full version, it's $150.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, if you're a decent person, you'll give us money for this product. And it's like, well, that's not how this works. That's the thing. We fortunately still live in a time where we as consumers can choose how we spend our money. And as long as we have that, these people will always lose because they can't give us anything worth a damn, because they can only exist in the world where what they believe is correct. They live in a bubble, in their like coastal elite condo with all of their friends that believe the same shit that they believe. And they're like, this is going to be a hit. And it just isn't, because they don't understand, regular gamers, especially male gamers, and they don't even like their audience. But what I was going to say is that as time goes on, games are going to try.
Jobs.
No, they don't. They want to make movies, and that's what I'm getting at. As time goes on, games are trying more and more and more to be like movies, and there is, to some degree, that can be used to enhance the gaming experience. But the problem is that they are taking more and more agency away from players because they want them to be more like movies. Because when you have movies, you can deliver a message directly without people's input. You can. What? Yeah, exactly.
Time for the sermon. Yeah, because I mean, these are zealots. They believe in their scientism and all whatever kind of stupid fucking ideological fuckery that. We all have to like hear them go on and on about. It's just like, can you just, not maybe do any of this? Like maybe just make a game that is a game. But no.
Yep. And of course, The game is probably it's set to win some like critical awards, but it's not going to sell. And there's an entry. Kim Belair is listed in the credits, so we know this is her. This is her work coming out, right? And the funniest thing is, they are blaming us for not buying it. And I'm going to read this. I was going to bring it up as an image, but I'm going to read this from my phone. So this is on the game, and it says, this is for Berries and Cream. On the Steam discussions page for Unknown 9 Awakening, bigotry and racism have won. I'm going to dramatize this a little bit because it's crazy. Bigotry and racism have won. I hope you are happy. All the hate.
I am. I'm on the winning side. I'm a bigoted racist, don't you know?
All of the hate.
White guy.
All of the hate and racism have destroyed the hopes and dreams of a small dev who just wanted to share a great story and adventures with all of us. But now that won't be possible because you wanted to cause chaos and watch the world burn. Literally, like by not buying the game, this is what we're doing. Like, you know, you did this. Don't forget all the bandwagoning.
Buy my game. Why aren't you buying my game?
All this bandwagoning and this SBI hate for what? This game did nothing wrong. Couldn't let this game have a female.
Either.
Yeah. Couldn't let this game have a female dressed like a decent person despite having so many games with your generic half-naked and unrealistic Korean tune. Don't you get it? People's jobs are at stake. You spelled steak like STEAK, so medium rare. This saddens me so much that they gotta celebrate such a tragic situation, right? Now I understand Alyssa Mercante. She was right all along. Edit. So this is after,
like they're going to Sizzler after this is all.
Yeah, no. Edit. Yeah, keep laughing. Go ahead. When Square stops making games for PC, who's gonna laugh? I thought y'all wanted to play with hot females, so go ahead. Leave Unknown 9 alone and go play your Stellar Blade anime, whatever. Well, yeah, that's what we literally did. Like, essentially, this person is throwing a fit because we didn't buy the game. Like, we didn't attack the game. I don't think anyone made a ton of videos on it. When they have the criticisms they have are primarily about the game's functionality. It just doesn't play well.
Well, one of the things they said in there is this is really going to piss them off. Is like that whole thing they said, well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Like, where are you going to get your games? Well, like, oddly enough, we spend a good 20 to 30-ish minutes at the end of this show specifically going over where you're going to get those games. And it's from like actual independent game developers that give a shit about whatever their project is. And they just do that. So that's where we're like, we don't need these, you know, like things that are being pushed from the top down and like that are based on like ideological mindsets and, you know, all this fuckery. Like, we don't need it. Not only do we not need it, we don't want it. And so, you know, it's very easy to actually kind of like start this grassroots initiative such as we are, along with other, you know, notable people like Cabrutus with DEI Detected. It's got its section on there as well for like games that you should be following. And, you know, like, I even suggested this to our quote unquote opposition. I'm like, well, if you guys like, you know, want to get your games promoted, why don't you like, you know, do a thing? And they're like, that would never work. It's like, well, you people suck. You don't even know how to like win for yourself, let alone like, you know, your stupid fucking ideology, because you quite literally just regurgitate NPC talking points that come from down from above, you know, and you don't even get the idea that it's like, if you want to make something happen, you have to do a little bit of suffering. Put your nose to the grindstone, struggle, do some work, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah. And so, like, that's why someone complaining like this, it's just like, I hope you got it out of your system. Go take a nap, get a Snickers, whatever it is that you need to kind of, like, buck up and kind of get through the day, by all means, because the only one that's gonna, like, you know, feel bad in all of this is you and your little fucking tism, you know? So...
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not affected by it. You're not affected by it. We just laugh it off and kind of like, there'll be another thing that we're talking about next week. And this won't even be like a footnote in like our, you know, like anything that's going on, you know, like we're already moving on from it basically to talk about this fuckhead and like her obsession with fucking Hasan.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that. I just want the reason. Okay, so let's move on to the next story. Let me know if you guys have any thoughts on this in the comments. But I have like very specific reasons to bring up some of this stuff that seems petty and small. But I think that there's like a greater point to be made. So
I mean, they are petty and small, so by all means, that's what they operate on. Like you get what you get, right?
yeah, sure. I mean, they are, but okay. So this story. This is from SmashJT.com. Alyssa Mercante, horny for Hasan, called out by Destiny. Now, this sounds like drama, but I want to make a point about this. So, Hasan Piker and Destiny, they were Twitch streamers, right? Big Twitch streamers, but also big political commentators. In fact, they're propagandists. And I mean, I'm not saying that like as an allegation. I'm saying that because they have said that. Okay. Hasan explicitly has said, my purpose to be on Twitch is to spread propaganda to young people. Now, so Hasan is let me see if I have a picture. Yeah, this is Hasan right here. Actually been talking about Hasan for a long time before he got on Twitch. So before he was on Twitch, he used to be a regular on a very progressive, far left news outlet called the Young Turks. Okay. And he is basically the nephew of the guy who runs the Young Turks, Cenk Uygur.
What I love in 2024 is you actually go and say this. You actually have to explain what the Young Turks is because it's fallen off that much.
Yeah.
For a lot of
Well, I just want to make sure people are not lost because that's why I'm telling you this.
But you're not wrong in actually explaining it because I haven't thought about the Young Turks in like 5 years, easily.
Well, yeah. Well, because of the stuff I do as over at Honey Badger Radio, we were basically we mainly talk about men's issues, and sometimes that like reaches out into other areas. Like you can't really just talk about like the things that men face without getting into some discussion about how the politics and policies affect that. Okay, and the Young Turks have been very much like aggressive towards us, actually us specifically, and I can find you a soundbite that kind of explains this. Let me see, it's under donations. Cenk had my coworker Karen on, and this is what he said to her when she called in on a show. He was doing an interview.
Give me a thank you. Give me a thank you for feminists for getting your right to vote. Otherwise, stop voting and go make me a ham sandwich.
So really pleasant people over there at the Young Turks, and Hasan works with them. So just to try to put a bow on it, okay, he's a communist actively on Twitch trying to get people to be communists. That's why he's there. He sucks at video games, and his streams are terrible, but he's like in the top 10 streamers, and all he does is essentially just hang out, eat. Sometimes he gets up and walks away for hours and comes back. I remember seeing a clip of him trying to play Elden Ring and losing over and over. So, not the greatest streamer, but he is working on behalf of the cathedral, so he gets boosts. So he ends up being like a major streamer because Twitch likes him. That's really what it means. Twitch likes him. Yeah. Right? Twitch is run by furry, non-binary troons, so they're going to boost people like him. Isn't he like what?
And as I recall, like his family in the Middle East.
Oh, they're very rich.
Yes.
Yeah, they're very well off. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like related to sheiks and shit like that. And so, like this guy is the furthest thing from what he even promotes himself to be.
He also used to do stuff for Al Jazeera, which is like funded by Qatar or something. So not small, but and the reason why I bring this up is because Alyssa Mercante is thirsting after him, right? Yeah, so she's totally thirsting after him really hard. But like, why is this relevant? Well, I'm just again linking things together, okay? This is where the intersection of supposed game developers and straight up communist propagandists, this is where it meets. So the people that we are dealing with, they're not journalists, they are activists, and they are interested in working with and intermingling with other activists. Like, this is where the intersection is at. This is about as plain as day. Alyssa Mercante only thirsts after Hasan because he shares her political views, and she works with Kotaku because she shares the views of Hasan as well, and Kotaku does as well. So these are all connected, okay? That's what I'm saying.
Nudging. Yeah.
Yeah. And
it never goes away, and it's like always there. And this is like that whole idea of like get them while they're young, get them while they're naive and stupid, and, like, you know, just kind of trap them into it.
Exactly. He makes it look trendy, and that's how you get the youth involved, and that's why he's on Twitch. And that's why Alyssa Mercante is horny for him, because he's serving the goals, right? I mean, I don't want to get into like why that's cringe, and also, you know, like if a guy was doing that to a woman online, we would completely treat it differently. But because it's her, because it's a woman thirsting after a man and being straight up weird and creepy, it's totally okay, right? Like it's because it's a woman, and there's nothing wrong with that. So anyway,
but she would be the first person to complain if a man was doing this to a woman, though.
Well, she does. She complains when a man replies to her on Twitter.
Right.
I mean, she like, you know, she blocks them and calls them creeps and weirdos.
I myself am one of the newest blocked, you know, like on that list, and that was kind of like a nice little kind of like, you know, feather in my cap, like, hey, look at me, I'm kind of like, you know, have some level of notoriety now on the YouTubes, and I don't know how that happened, you know. But hey, here I am, blocked by Alyssa Mercante, pronounced Mercante.
So anyway, my point is that Hasan is sus. Yeah, he is a bit sus. My point is that, though, like I said, I'm just showing you guys the links, you know, between the journalists and the straight up communist activists. It's really not a surprise, but I thought it was an interesting thing to point out, and that's really the only reason why I wanted to bring up this article, is to show you all that. So let's move on to the next thing, and this is the Dragon Age, the Failgard, or the Failgard.
Yes, so, I call it the Fail Hard myself, but God, this thing is so terrible.
It looks so ugly.
Oh yeah, I've been watching playthroughs of like the shill that was hired by the company to like, and like you could tell like even he doesn't necessarily like things about it, but he's getting paid to shill for it. So, Jay Viper specifically did like he's probably done about 2 to 2.5-ish hours of covering this shill who's covering the game, and God, like it is. And so like now, is this the thing about the Adam's apple? Because once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Well, I do see an Adam's apple in this image, but no, this is called Dragon Age: The Failgard is worse than we thought. So there was some news about the Failgard. We know about the zipper tits. We know about the pronouns. We know about, you know, like being able to like make your character, you know, non-binary. We know about the fact that all of the characters that can be romanced are pansexual, which means you know, apparently they're into
like lollipop
kitchenware.
Heads, like dude, it is just not good.
It's very ugly. So we know about that, but we are also learning that the game
playing game. It's just an action adventure kind of thing where it's on rails pretty like pretty bad. Like you're not even having like, you know, like full on combat. It's just kind of like, oh God, like I can't believe like the fact that they think they get away with charging as much money they do for a game that is so far removed from anything that pertains to gaming. It's you know, a lot of this stuff is about making interactive movies that just preach to you and proselytize. I'm not for that. I cannot. You will not get me to pay $70 minimum to $150 to not even play a game. Like if you're planning on charging that much, I better get like 10 years of service life out of the thing.
I mean, I you know, personally, I stopped after the first one, but it's just not my cup of tea. But I weep for the people who are really like invested, because there's a lot wrong with this, and I'm going to get into it. So according to a YouTube channel called New Ray, the game is even worse than we imagined. There was an interview with a play tester, a QA tester, And according to this interview, Failgard is drowning in a mess of divisive DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion themes, alienating fans with immersion-breaking choices and narrative decisions that detract from what could have been an engaging RPG experience. Now, in case you guys don't know, if you played like the series of Dragon Age games, I guess in a similar fashion to Mass Effect, the narrative choices you made in the first game could carry over into the following games, etc.
Right.
So you were following like a long through line in the story. But apparently in this latest iteration, all of that's thrown out.
Yeah, like there's like major aspects of the game that aren't even included in it. Like like this whole thing about like blood magic and whatnot. Like part of the reason why it's even called like, Blood Origins, like that's a very big thing like about the game itself, and it has been completely removed from this.
Yeah,
like,
typical.
Yeah. And so it's like who's this even made for other than people who just like oh, it's trans.
That's really all they got.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pathetic. It really is pathetic. So, okay. So, back to this. One of the first complaints brought up by the playtester is how Failgard forces pronouns front and center, breaking the immersion for many players. The Qunari companion, for example, introduces themselves in a jarringly modern way, saying, and I'm not making this up, I identify myself as non-binary, pulling you completely out of the fantasy world that Failgard was supposed to create. So, an NPC that you meet says, I identify myself as non-binary. They don't even have like another term that would be like a part of the world they've created. Like, if you like in another world, right? Like it's a fantasy setting, right? They're just like, no, I'm non-binary and I want to be addressed as they, them.
Right.
So this
so fourth wall breaking, just kind of like, hey, everybody, like this is not an immersive experience. Like you are clearly just, like going through and that's I don't know. It's I hate modern gaming and
the problems of modern gaming are the problems of modern society.
Well, so, I mean, right, very true.
It's what we're dealing with, yeah.
Micro macro kind of situation. Micro scale, yeah, gaming is like really effed, but like in the macro, like society at large is just
we're in trouble. That's all I will say. Like Zoomers are losing jobs left and right. They can't keep a job, and I'm like, why? And I think I know, but anyway, so romance options now. Not that I was ever really a big fan of them anyway, but they're locked behind DEI themes. Romances in the games are also embroiled in controversy. Romances were initially gender locked unless you chose a pronoun other than he, him. So in the old one, I remember I only played the first Dragon Age, so you guys will probably know, but in the first Dragon Age, I believe there was one lesbian option, one for women, right? One gay option for men, one heterosexual option for men, and one heterosexual option for women. And that was what they did. Now, personally, I thought it was cringe. Even then, I was like, I don't know why we're pandering in this way. But now we see, because they also did it in Cyberpunk 2077, they basically gave you there were like 4 characters I think you could romance in that. And if you were a straight dude, there was only 1 character you could romance. So it was almost like, well, what's the point, right? But anyway,
and then when someone made a mod to like kind of like get around the only way that the mod
get around it, like if you wanted to like romance Judy,
right, and the only way to kind of because like that mod ended up getting excised
banned
from the Nexus. It took them a little bit of time though initially because I think I had the mod for a minute, but then like the only other thing that you could do that they have no problem with is like there was just like a sexy time mod basically. Just all about like just you can like make any character model, any character and
you can just swap out the models and
right because at that point in time you're just watching like Uncanny Valley sex scenes, and so like that's perfectly acceptable. But like if you actually wanted to have this thing that was nuanced and sophisticated and trying to go and say, hey, like maybe I want my character to like, I just want to replay the game again and like have an experience that I didn't have before. Nope, not allowed. Not allowed, because it's more important that like, this gay character like should remain a gay character. And it's like, I'm okay. I'm glad you guys are so like, like adamant that like, like character and all this is so important now. But how does that explain all the other times when you're like, don't get on me that we race swap this because, it's like, all right. So you're just, hypocrisy is shining through. And that's
for sure. Thanks for the subscription, Snafu. Really appreciate it. Let me play a sound for you. Thanks for joining us. Crashing the party. All right. So let's get back into this. But yeah, it was locked before and limited. But now, to fully explore the romance options, a player's character must be pansexual. Otherwise, you're limited to only 2 romance options, Nev and Harding. While this mechanic may have been tweaked following the success of Baldur's Gate 3, the original intent to lock romances behind identity politics has got to make you question what the fuck the devs were thinking here. So basically, if you want the full range of romance options, you have to identify as pansexual, which means you have to play their game of queer identity politics. So, I mean, frankly, again, I generally am the kind of person that doesn't want to romance anybody. So I don't know if there's an option for that. Maybe they think that's oppressive, but I mean, I think that you're oppressing asexuals myself. But
right. Yeah. Just like maybe I'm just an ace in the hole, as it were.
Yeah.
Leave me the fuck alone.
Well, not in the hole. I don't want to be anywhere near the hole.
Right.
That's why I'm avoiding it.
Right.
Anyway, Solus and Rook, key characters, are sidelined. As if the gameplay issues weren't enough, beloved characters like Solus and Rook have been treated like yesterday's news in Vanguard. A fan favorite character from Dragon Age Inquisition is being sidelined for most of the game, relegated to a minor role with little importance until suddenly becoming relevant far later. Worse yet, the ending is described as baffling and not in a good way, leaving many folks worried about how the story will handle this pivotal character. Meanwhile, Rook, voiced by controversial figure in gaming Erika Ishii, by the way, Erika Ishii identifies as gender fluid, in case you guys don't know, is another significant character, which is reduced to a shadow of his former self. Rook is now apparently little more than a side character, just a guy in a bar with a backstory that's wasted and contributes almost nothing to the plot. For longtime fans, this treatment, again, feels like a betrayal of characters they had grown attached to over the years.
Yeah, like you encounter him fairly early on in the game, and then he's like over and out, like in like this play section that you barely even play anything. It's just a whole bunch of cinematics kind of stacked together one after the next, and then it's just kind of gone.
All right, now we get into, these are things that are not so much about the DEI stuff and the, all of the forced woke politics and propaganda, but rather the stuff that really does matter to people, which is essentially like in RPGs, it's about choices and whether or not those choices have consequences. So we're going to look at this. So according to the playtester, the Inquisitor from the previous game is painted as corrupt, with the Inquisition itself playing a negligible role regardless of whether you disbanded it. So like your actions in the previous game in the Inquisition doesn't mean anything. Worse yet, the game's choices apparently don't matter, echoing the disastrous finale of Mass Effect 3, where the illusion of choice left players with the same unsatisfying endings regardless of their decisions. So do you want the green ending, the blue ending, or the red ending? Essentially. This
along with the blood magic getting removed, they also removed like the spiders and things like that. So like a lot of the combats, just because the spiders were too scary, you see.
Oh, I see. Yeah. No, I know that they removed spiders. People might have. Yeah, we gotta deal with people's triggers. Graphics. The playtester didn't hold back when discussing the facial animations in Failgard either, describing them as plastic and comparing them to the infamous Mass Effect Andromeda. My face is tired. They mentioned that many of the characters look emotionless, giving rise to the now notorious "my face is tired" meme. Given that Failgard is supposed to be a next-gen RPG, the poor animation quality is another major red flag that fans will find hard to overlook.
The shill gushed over the hair quality, but the hair is not actually that good. Like, does it have like, you know, some flow to it? Sure. But like, there's like a whole bunch of, you know, bad like clipping and this and that they just want to gloss over. And it's like, you know, you're gonna sit here and talk about how good the hair system is and not actually talk about like the clipping within it. It's like,
Yeah.
Like people have like this weird kind of thing of like, oh, because like it seems like it's a whole bunch of individual strands. Like, yeah, but no, it still looks like shit. You know, so I don't know why we're all of a sudden like in 2024 acting like things that aren't that great or somehow like, you know, like it's the pinnacle of mediocrity is what we've reached. You know,
and the other thing is, it cannot be criticized. So one of the main things is that they said here is that feedback from the playtesters has been systematically ignored in order to push the lead developer's vision, especially when it touches on the game's heavy-handed woke themes. So it's almost like why even do it? Why would you even have playtesters if you're not going to listen to the feedback because you're sensitive to like how it might hurt your fifis? So in essence, the woke elements cannot be criticized. They're untouchable, and all critique of them is not allowed, regardless of the negative impact on the gameplay and the story. So like they're intentionally going to push out a garbage product because the people who are behind this vision cannot receive criticism. They don't want it. They're avoiding it, and they're not going to learn from it. And well, there was one other thing I want to say about this is sort of a different thing. I watched a video by I think it was Andy Pants Gaming.
Yeah.
And he did a video where he was able to score an interview with a former, I think he's a former, but he might not be. He might be a present Ubisoft employee, and was trying to understand or explain to us what happened at Ubisoft to get them from being like one of the top game developers in gaming, period, like giving us stuff like Splinter Cell and, you know, the early Assassin's Creed games, etc., to basically being on the verge of, you know, being bought out, and now they're striking and everything. And what it came down to, and I knew this, I knew this because I watched this happen in the animation industry, and I spoke to people in it, and I watched it happen in the tabletop industry. Like I saw this happening around me already, so I knew this was what happened. Was essentially a bunch of activists became employees, and over time they changed the culture of the company. And he said that before, when people were testing games, it was all just like a bunch of dudes, right, that just wanted to make a good game, and they were invited to be honest in their criticism and, you know, confrontational almost. Like, well, okay, we got to fix this. That's not working. Do this thing. That's it, right? No, like walking around on eggshells, no dancing around the problem, just confronting it head on and dealing with it. And the climate changed because you had a bunch of people who didn't want to, like, you know, have to hear mean words, and it just changed the whole climate. And one of the ways they got in there was, again, as I said before, and even Kim Belair herself admitted this, was the Me Too movement. They used that to get jobs, and the BLM protest, the Summer of Love. And that's what changed the face of the whole industry.
Yeah, no, this is a 30-year process that's taken place, you know, because like the thing that spurned on DEI and everything like that was political correctness all the way back in the 90s. And I mentioned this before, but it might be somebody's first time watching, you know. And so, you know, HR departments are an evolution of political correctness. And so, like, you know, and this is how the culture got shifted, as you mentioned. It's like, you know, you go and you hire some woke ass women from like, you know, 20, 30 years ago, and then they become your hiring directors. And so everybody that comes through the door over the course of the next 20, 30 years has to like have some level of ideological kind of, you know, I guess parity with these hiring directors. And slowly but surely you lose all your actual, like, you know, technical skill based engineers and this and that. And so like now you see all these games that are relying on Unreal Engine 5 because it's like, you know, the most straightforward kind of thing that like you can just kind of learn without having to like put too much effort into it. And it's like it does a lot of the work for you in terms of being middleware. And so you know, they can quite literally, a lot of these companies now are like, well, we don't want people that actually have like a background in like making games or anything like that. We'll teach you what you need to know, you know. And so like that now calls into question like the whole indoctrination society that even happens in college, because, you know, like if ultimately what you're doing isn't even like going to get you a job unless you just kind of like go along with like all the directives and the hive mind mentality state, they literally are trying to breed weakness into the industry to the point to where like if you actually have talent, skill, or ability, you're not going to be sought after. And so, you know, you're not even going to be included in the discussion for getting hired. And that's why we do what we do, where we highlight, you know, independent game developers and things like that, because that's where those people who actually have talent, skill, and ability ultimately wind up, is just doing something from their own passion and like their own integrity.
Yeah.
Sir, not this.
Well, again, you know, that my when I saw the trailer for this, I was like, this is cooked, and I was right. So it's over. Like it's over for Dragon Age cells. Sorry, guys. And it's an ugly as fuck game too. Like, how did it get so ugly? So yeah, the character designs are bad. The graphic engine is, I mean, it's flawed. It's buggy as fuck.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's essentially Mass Effect Andromeda all over again. Like, how did this happen?
Right. There's very little variation from one character model to the next that you can actually make, because everything's like, you know, like I think a B cup is like the biggest you can go with the breast size.
Well, not even that. Like there was a woman. Yeah, there was a woman that was playing the game, and she was like looking at the character creator, and she put her breasts, like she said, I'm a B cup, and this looks, I look more, you know, full figure.
It's the chest sweat.
Like,
yeah.
It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't even look like a boob, is what I'm saying. It's like, so yeah. All right. Let's move on to the next thing. Let us know what you guys think about this one in the comments. All right. So next I got I want to talk about Dustborn again, because it doesn't seem to leave the news, but I think it's important.
Well, you know, I think maybe their thought is the more that they can kind of like keep the name out there, like it's kind of like engagement is relevance.
Yeah, well, the thing is, the game is out. Nobody's playing it. It's a failure. Right. There's nothing left to do but like shame people for not playing it in an effort to hopefully get people to buy your game out of like a sense of duty. Yeah, or guilt. Yeah, or a sense of duty. Like, don't you want to beat the chuds?
I'm not a racist. I guess I have to buy this thing now.
Yeah. So, all right. So Ragnar Tornquist, who is pictured here alongside his game, I use the term loosely, Dustborn, in a recent attempt to deflect from the disaster of its sales, there was an article published to run on full-on damage control about the game Dustborn. So the title is Dustborn dev opens up after brutal launch caught us completely off guard. Did it though? What were you expecting? I think what I think
were there that this was not going to turn out the way that any of you wanted or hoped for. Like,
what I think is I think these people actually believe that their positions are popular. I think that they actually believe that what they see on TikTok or wherever is what the kids like.
Right. Well, I think this week, since I actually have kind of Monday free, I might actually make a new YouTube video, and because I got sent the most recent GDC survey, you know, because they like to do that, and of course it's about sustainability and identity politics are like a part of like what's going to be in the survey. And so there's a part of me that's like, oh, I should really just like, you know, like go through this and just film this and like kind of show people kind of like the breakdown of like how they do this platforming, because that's the thing about the GDC and the IGDA in the wider context is it's the International Game Developers Association, right? And so they go and they do this globally based kind of survey system and try to like get everybody's how-tos and whys and how they feel about it. And then they'll apply like, you know, these global survey numbers to regional, you know, areas that say, oh, well, you have to do this because we have this much representation. and it's all about fudging numbers and making statistics happen that otherwise wouldn't be there. And so, yes, they very much do believe that they have a wider degree of support for what they're doing because they're programming themselves with faulty logic and bad numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that they live in a bubble. And again, this guy is like from, Sweden or something, and they're pretty woke up there. So, all right. But anyway,
the guy from Red Thread.
Yeah, the guy from Red Thread pictured here. In it, rather than addressing any of the real issues behind the backlash against Dustborn and its creators, which is, I mean, the whole, like, there's no way you can redeem that. Like Concord, I could make the case that if you change the art style and you do better art direction, you can, like, keep the base skeleton of the game and it would probably be relatively serviceable. Make it free to play, because there's tons of, like, hero shooters out there. You got to compete with those. And then it could be an all right experience. But Dustborn, there's no saving this game. Like, it is, like, there's no way. Like, you would have to, like, completely do a whole new type of experience. Anyway, the article instead bends over backwards to frame critics as irrational, conveniently, as always, sidestepping Tornquist's documented problematic behavior. The article paints a sympathetic portrait of Tornquist, presenting him as a victim, yes, that old thing again, of baseless conspiracy theories and undue harassment, which is this thing that I keep hearing about, but I never see. Right from the start, the tone is set with his line, quote, it caught us completely off guard. We were very surprised by the extreme reaction to the launch. And so this is all damage control. I want to show one thing about this, because again, this is a common excuse that we get too, but satire. Did you expect debate over some of the more obviously politically correct aspects of the game? I like how they know what they're saying when they say politically correct. No, we used to think of that as a kind of it was almost like a pejorative thing to say that, but now they're saying it unironically. And he says, yes, but we were never out to provoke. We just wanted to make a game with characters that are different. We didn't think it would be so controversial that a group would fight against a fascist regime. I don't think many people want to live in a police state, and our version of the U.S. is by no means the real America. No, of course not. It's just what you think it's going to become. And that's why you made it. I mean...
and they're creating the police state themselves, which is the real irony here, because these are the people who are all like, well, you got to fight against disinformation and misinformation, and people shouldn't be able to say or think, whatever it is that's on their, heart and mind, because, morality plays and all this kind of stupid fuckery. It's like, all right, so you're the censors. You're the ones that are the book burning, asshats that want to, 1984 the world and kind of like prevent people from actually just being themselves and instead being these social constructs that, happen to be in the shape of people but aren't actually allowed to have any kind of emotional experience that goes outside of what is deemed permissible. These people are so fucked in the head.
Let's talk about some of the things that he said. I think that he is also a product of the culture that he's trying to share with people, and I'll tell you what I mean. He says these are just little excerpts and quotes from the interview. As white males, we have absolutely nothing against our own gender or ethnicity, but they do, because he also said earlier our team is predominantly white and male. That's unfortunate. Right. You're like in Sweden or whatever, like some of the whitest countries in the world. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It's just is what it is.
National, a strong sovereign national state that hasn't been penetrated by shithole countries, as it were, that lose their culture to people that just kind of give no fucks about anything, it's like, I don't know. This is like that whole thing about people who go to a restaurant and complain that they come in with their super micro diet or whatever the hell, and they complain that you aren't serving them. And it's like, this is a steakhouse. What'd you expect? Where are my vegan options and my gluten free this and that? It's like, well, there's plenty of places that do that. Go there. You know,
He says, there's another thing too. That these people always play the victim. We're talking about a guy who's like, lead developer on like in his company. He just made a shit product. But he says it seems like people twist everything we say with malicious intent. They've created a narrative that Red Thread is corrupt and making propaganda. But the fact that we've made a game we want to talk about and share with others, it's not for everyone, and they don't have to play it. Well, yeah, we're not playing it. That's why it failed. But more than that,
games.
Yeah, go ahead.
The abilities of the games are literally bully, cancel, gaslight, and trigger.
Yeah.
You know, like this is what you put in the game as for the protagonist to do.
Right. Who is kind of a piece of shit. But like, this is okay. So this is what they do. So they like, again, it's Mott and Bailey stuff, right? They tell you like, oh, you're a terrible person, but they do it in a way that gives them enough plausible deniability that if you call them out and say, I know what you're doing here, they say, no, we're not doing that. What are you, a conspiracy theorist? That's not happening. You know, and that's usually just steps before they're saying, okay, actually, if it was happening, it would be a good thing. And then it's, oh, well, it's happening and it's a good thing. You know, it's like, that's what they do.
Context, because context, you know, as they say, the devil is in the details. And once you actually get into the details, it's like, oh, okay, so you're the devil. And it's, how dare you catch me in my own lie?
And he claims that their game is not being funded by the U.S. government. I don't think we claimed it was the U.S. government. It was the Norwegian Film Institute. It was the European Union, and it was the United Nations.
Yeah.
But not the U.S. government. Although the Pentagon could have been funding it through various shell companies also. Yep. I mean, it would be harder to trace, but it wouldn't be weird. They fund Hollywood projects all the time. So, you know, we know that they're involved. Like, it's, you know, and you can tell if it's obvious propaganda, again.
There's all sorts of state-based money from all different parts of the world going into this. You know, this is a propagandist, state-based work. Like, they made their money off of, like, you know, doing this for the state. And so, like, that's part of the other reason why, like, you know, like, even though their sales suck, it's not going to necessarily be the end of them, because they got fronted on this thing. This was a commission work, you know?
Yeah.
And their benefactors are the state.
Yes. And, you know, again, this attack on gamers, that is not going to work. I mean, you're not going to sell games. It's probably the worst thing you can do. It you know, is attack the fans, but this is what they always do. So, let's move on to the next thing. I thought you might find this especially interesting. Kind of out there. I don't know if there's like, okay, so
oh god, yeah, I read this when you sent me the article, and I was just like,
so
you can't. Oh god,
this is real. This is real. Okay, so we got a new. I think it's gonna be a movie or a series.
Yeah. This is like the most woke of the woke. God,
so do you guys know who Lily Wachowski is? Oh yeah, JoJo is always stretching out. Do you guys know who Lily Wachowski is? Formerly one of the Wachowski brothers, now the Wachowski siblings. The Wachowski brothers, by the way, made The Matrix. It's like the one thing they're known for. Everything else they've tried to do hasn't been great. I guess Bound was okay, but
Bound was great. Bound is like, but that was back before, like, you know, all the transing whatever. You know, it's Gina Gershon's in it. She's hot as fuck. You know, Jennifer Tilly. By all means, like, if you've never seen Bound, everyone, I would tell you, watch it twice. You know, and I mean, just like watch it and then watch it again, because it's actually really good. Like, it's Joe Pantalone,
Joey Pants. Joey from The Matrix. He played Cypher.
Such a great movie.
He's a good actor.
But they have gone down in quality. Like that was before, I believe that was right before The Matrix. And then The Matrix was like their, you know, kind of watershed kind of moment. Yeah. And then it's just been, you know, worse and worse by degrees. Cloud Atlas was complete tripe. And this looks like.
Well, let's get into it.
I read. Ooh.
Let's get. Okay, so Lily Wachowski is going to make an adaptation of a dystopian horror movie about trans people hunting feral men for survival. Okay, so let's read what is this? Okay, so the book, I guess, is a book called Manhunt, written by Gretchen Filker Martin, and I think the imagery should spell it out for you. But trans horror enthusiasts rejoice. Yeah, all 10 of you. This is from a website, by the way, called Them. Just so you know what we're in for. Just so you know what we're in for, okay? Trans horror enthusiasts rejoice. Lily Wachowski is working on a TV adaptation of Manhunt, Gretchen Felker Martin's hit 2022 horror novel about a post-apocalyptic world where testosterone literally turns people into feral, zombie-like creatures. Okay, it does it to men. Men have testosterone. It does it to men. Not people, men. I mean, there are women also have testosterone, but I don't think they're the ones that are going to be turning feral.
Right.
Felker Martin.
Well, as long as you get your testosterone from a synthetic source that has been sanctioned by a government and a pharmaceutical agency, then then it's been vetted appropriately, and then you can use it. But you have to soy yourself up first before you can,
Yeah.
Anyway,
Felker Martin posted.
Yeah.
Felker Martin posted about the news to X on Friday, including a link to an Autostraddle interview with Wachowski and writing, quote, "The cat's out of the bag, baby," end quote. And she added that she, quote, "couldn't be prouder or more excited to be writing it," end quote. We're going to do our damnedest to bring this thing kicking, screaming, and queer as hell onto the screen, she concluded. That's Gretchen Martin, the woman who wrote the book. Kicking, screaming, and queer as hell is absolutely the best way to describe Manhunt. Though cis creators have played with the concept of post-apocalyptic worlds in which groups of people are mysteriously eliminated based on biological characteristics, Manhunt avoids essentialism by centering its narrative around two trans women, Beth and Fran. The two women spend their days on the run from both feral men and murderous TERFs, all while finding ways to continue their transitions against all odds. After all, in this instance, doing so is quite literally a matter of life and death. If it wasn't obvious from the summary, Manhunt is certainly not for the faint of heart. Just reading the descriptions in the book sends visceral shudders down the spine. We can't wait to see what horrors a TV adaptation will bring. I'm almost done with the article, and then we'll talk about it. But this sounds terrible. The adaptation is one of several projects that the legendary Matrix co-director is currently involved in, according to a Friday interview with Autostraddle. Quote, "Some of the projects are big, some of the projects are small, but they're all queer and trans," she told the publication. In addition to adapting Felker Martin's novel, Wachowski is also adapting Jordy Rosenberg's historical gender genre-bending novel, Confessions of the Fox. I'll have to look up what that is. I bet that's also queer as hell. She also just finished a script with her partner, which is a response to all of the horrible anti-trans stuff that's going on in the world. Is there a lot of that going on in the world? Is that a thing that's happening? What if trans people could form this almost weather underground level of resistance? Oh my God, she said. It becomes a murder mystery that goes up the ladder into the furthest reaches of government. I, for one, would like to see it. Oh my God, is it going to have the orange man at the top? Is he going to be spinning around in a chair? You know, I don't like truth.
And a trans whisper network is going to save reality.
Oh my God. Okay, so what is Confessions of the Fox? I just have to know.
Right.
It was written in 2018. It's a novel by American writer and academic Jordy Rosenberg, first published in 2018. It reimagines the lives of Jack Shepherd, 18th century English thief and jailbreaker, and his lover Edgeworth Bess. It revealed the manuscript. So, okay. I got to tell you this. Okay, so it reimagines the lives of Jack Shepherd, Honest Jack, notorious English thief and prison escapee of early 18th century London. So a historical figure, I think. Let me see.
Reappropriated to do a thing. So,
he was a real person, and they're reimagining him. And here's the thing. Okay, a 21st century academic, Dr. Voth, this is in the story. This is a story within a story. discovers a manuscript that claims to be the Confessions of Jack Shepherd. The manuscript reveals that Shepherd, like Voth, is a transgender man and describes his experience of transitioning gender. It also reveals that Bess is of South Asian descent and that she grew up in the Fens. So, and then it documents their love affair. Yeah. So we're basically taking historical figures and reimagining them as trans, and they're going to make an adaptation of this. Who is this for?
Who
is this for?
They're on the screen right now. The person who's, paying and fronting the bill. That's exactly who it's for. And all the assembled yes persons that they have, got around them to gas them up and say, yeah, Lily, this is such a great idea. Thank you for paying, the mortgage on my fucking house. That's what this is. This is just, somebody this is a gassed up mid, and that's being polite. Jesus, this is so fucking retarded.
It sounds like a real awful story. So I want to know what the summary of Manhunt is, because I have a feeling it has to do with trans women killing men and cutting off their balls. But I kind of want to know. So we're going to take a look at an overview here. So let's see. Okay. So Why the Last Man meets the girl with all the gifts in Gretchen Felker Martin's Manhunt, an explosive post-apocalyptic novel that follows trans women and men on a grotesque journey of survival. Both Beth and Fran spend their days traveling the ravaged New England coast, hunting feral men and harvesting their organs, you mean their testicles, in a gruesome effort to ensure they'll never face the same fate. Robbie lives by the gun and one hard-learned motto: other people aren't safe. After a brutal accident entwines the three of them, this bound family of survivors must navigate murderous turfs, a sociopathic billionaire bunker brat, and awkward relationship dynamics, all while outrunning packs of feral men and their own demons. Manhunt is a timely, powerful response to every gender-based apocalypse story that failed to consider the existence of transgender and non-binary people from a powerful new voice in horror.
So now this is going to be one of those weird things again that I have to just ask. This is much like, like Dragon Age. Where's the transing clinic in this dystopian future setting?
Where's the healthcare?
Right. I don't understand how any of this stuff makes contextual sense within the verisimilitude of the story itself. How does any of this work? If there's all these evil feral men that are so terrible, then and you're going around and you're hunting them, it doesn't seem like they're the problem. And you've already been able to trans yourself. So clearly they're not preventing you from doing your weird fuckery and so I don't even understand how these disjointed concepts can even get leverage to the point to where it's oh yeah, no, we're gonna greenlight it, other than someone like Lily Wachowski here that is clearly just buying an audience basically. And that audience is just the people that are being used to soundboard how good this is, because there's not an actual legitimate audience for this to be found on what are they gonna put this on Bravo or some other gay network or some shit like that? Because I don't understand where.
I have no idea.
Who's this? Who is this for? How does it exist? How does any of this make any sense within the framework of the story itself? It's just a whole bunch of stupid fuckery that's just gonna I mean, have at it, Haas. See what happens when you burn your money.
Yeah, I have no idea. It's go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, they're doing this whole thing where it's this is what the world needs, and then there's gonna be the outcry of I can't believe people didn't give us a chance. What do you mean didn't give you? This is pointless. This is for no one. I don't know.
100%. It is pointless. It is for no one. Seriously.
Yeah.
I have no idea. No idea. So, but here we are. This is gonna be normalized. I already know, like, it's gonna come out. It's gonna flop. They're probably, maybe they won't even market it that much. Maybe there's like, is there like a gay, like, streaming service? Maybe it's gonna go on some random gay streaming service.
There's gotta be at this
like
point.
all gay content, like a queer service, right? Yeah, I don't know. Q stream, they'll call it, or something. I don't know.
Right.
Okay, so that's all I got for stories. I was going to talk about this one story for this game that is called Ethos, and it's basically like another, like, Fortnite with, like, but it's browner and gayer. So it's basically like a DEI Fortnite game. But there's and it's probably going to be a massive failure, like Concord, I'm guessing. But I'm not seeing a lot on it. I just think there just isn't enough enthusiasm. So we will look at some good stuff now.
Yeah, time for cake.
Time for cake, yes. So let's look at some at least things that look kind of promising. All right. And I'm going through my wish list because I'm made aware of some of these things from people in my Discord server. Feel free to join the Discord server by clicking on the link in the description. I also have a link to John's Discord server. I would check it out. FFS. Check both of those out.
Discord, indeed.
Yeah.
And if you're a creative type, we will, make room for you on the FN 2.0 channel directory.
All right, let me see here. So let me just give me a second here. I am setting up. I have to like open up some windows so I can look at them.
No worries.
These games that I have in mind here. But all right. We're going to start with, okay, this isn't like new. This game's been out a while. But if you want propaganda in your games and you really want to push the envelope, try this one, War of Rights. So what is War of Rights? Do you know about this game?
I can't say that I do, but for a second I thought you said War of Rice, and I was like,
no, War
that would be like
Rights.
a different. Yeah. That would be a very different thing.
War of Rights is a first-person multiplayer game featuring massive 350-player battles, so like big numbers of people. With the focus on historical authenticity, it is the Civil War. So if you want to play a game where you're fighting in the Civil War and it has all of the, like you have to load your rifle like really slow and you have to march in regiments and there's like a guy with a flag and you can play for the Union side or the Confederacy. I'll play a little bit of this gameplay trailer so you guys can check it out. So let me pause the Spotify for a second because it's going to, or I'll mute it temporarily.
Management. Yeah.
Well, no, just so that it's not, because the sound, the Great Rebellion music is gonna, make this a little bit harder to see. So let's play this. This is War of Rights. Okay. There's no sound right now, but it's okay. So you guys can see.
I can hear it.
You can. Oh, you can? Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I don't know why I can't hear it. Fire! So there you go. So you have to fire in rows. I've never played this, but I put it in my wish list because it looks kind of interesting. Right?
Get his ass.
Kill that goddamn. Oh, your head.
I don't know how many people are on this, but it's really pretty too. And it's been out since 2018. So it's not a new game, but I learned about it not that long ago. And it's still active. I mean,
music's good.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of the Total War story.
And then the smoke, y'all shoot him
Total
down.
War. Yeah. Let me lower this
at all.
Alright, they're shifting west now. Fire.
John Ford says, "Wow." I mean, this is edgy. It shouldn't be though. It's just history. It shouldn't be edgy.
Right. Well, it's because the stars and bars, inherently racist.
Yeah, exactly. You have to load the cannons. I kind of like that you have to do everything, the way they used to do it. Because it's really easy to get into something that's just got automatic weapons or semi-automatic weapons or whatever. And we don't have a problem playing World War II games because even though you have to sort of follow those limitations of that time. But what if you go further back? What if there were games about the Napoleonic Wars? What if there were games about, even like ancient medieval? I mean, there are games about ancient medieval wars as well. But what about if they were at this scale?
Yeah. That's what I mean. This seems interesting to me in the sense that it's if it is actually historically minded, and giving those limitations. This is how you get context about things, and
for sure,
kind of the whole point of not falling victim to your history is to actually learn from it. So yeah, this seems interesting.
Break reloads, new line, break reloads, advance the new line. Keep the space there.
Yeah, so that's War of Rights. And it looks really interesting to me. I don't know, let's see, how much is it right now? It's $30. It's been out since 2018. I'll check to see how active these servers are. I think they're still pretty active. And again, I like the scale too. The scale, 360 players. So essentially it's 350, I'm sorry. So it's 175 players on each side. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, that just sounds that's crazy. I mean, that is crazy. So anyway, that's War of Rights. Art Force says, prediction, Union will need bots to make up numbers. You know what? I definitely would play the Confederacy just to see, because one of the things that I think would be, that I think that this does is, we get told a lot about what history is. And I think experiencing it in some virtual way and in an honest presentation, what's going on now with for example, we just covered that story, right? Mm-hmm. Of Wachowski doing essentially an adaptation of a book that tries to reimagine history by taking a figure from history and making him trans. So, and I've already talked about in the past many times where these people, they change the canon of our fictional history because they ultimately want to change the canon of our actual history. And I think in a lot of ways, the canon has been changed. A lot of things about our actual history, if you go to school and you learn about history, you're not getting the full story. You're getting a very curated version of things. And so people should remain curious. What is the truth about, Winston Churchill, for example, which we also talked about. It seems to be a theme of the show this week. So I think, at the very least, even if the only goal of this game, War of Rights, which I assume is just to make an interesting, Civil War game, even if that's all it is, when you play it, you might start to sort of see what is the brutality of war, how awful was the Civil War, how it was the one time where, our own people were killing each other. And of course, this is often in the rhetoric today. There's a lot of talk about Civil War happening in the US now because of how divided we appear to be, thanks to the media and stuff. I don't think we are that divided. Yep. I think it's a small group of people that are trying to keep us at each other's throats, which, by the way, they've been doing ever since Occupy Wall Street, but I digress. So I think that this would be pretty interesting from that perspective. If you like historical games, and I know people really like that kind of stuff, what was that one? Kingdom Come Deliverance was extremely popular. There's a sequel coming out. People love Call of Duty games because they do tend to have a historical, sort of veneer, Medal of Honor, stuff like that. So yeah, I would say, if you're interested in it, check it out. War of Rights.
Yeah, and just kind of piggyback really quick off point that you just hit upon, like the reality that we are living through is because, you know, as a culture, we came together to see through the facade of the Uniparty back during Occupy Wall Street, and that is why the culture war has progressed in the way that it has ever since, to create this form of division and try to like undermine the things that we actually have in you know, our human sensibilities and like the human condition. Like, you know, like what's more important, like your identity politics bullshit or being able to actually afford groceries? I think that, you know, if I could afford groceries and actually do this and that, then all that identity politics stuff would kind of like, you know, like not even really be that big of a deal, you know? But that's the whole thing, is they try to keep you caught up in like, you know, the hustle and bustle of like, you know, like being, you know, fear mongered and all this kind of stuff and all the division stoking, so that you don't actually sit here and say, hey, why can't I just pay for food?
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. Yeah, definitely. Dean Domino gave us $4.99 and said, heard good things about Witchfire from Heels versus Babyface, and I'll also recommend checking out Trench Tales. Well, I just entered those in to my search so we can look at them. But thank you for the suggestion, and also to answer John Ford's question, what was the game's name? It's called War of Rights. It's still displayed right there. So yeah, check it out. I think it's only on Steam, but there you go. So
we ourselves are dealing with the war of rights now, with states versus federalism.
That's right.
And
we're back where we started from. Okay, next we got this game called The Legend of Tian Ding, which was recommended by one of the people at our Discord server, Mr. 0303. Shout out to you, my friend. And it does look good. I looked at a little bit of this trailer. It's kind of an action game, side scroller, and it's got like a Chinese you know, aesthetic, which I like. I love kung fu movies, and I've talked about that at length. But this looks interesting, so let's look at the trailer for this. It also has anyone ever? Okay, everybody knows about manga, but has anyone ever read like wuxia comics, like Chinese comics? You ever like read Chinese comics back when they used to? I don't know if they still make them, but they had like the really crazy art and really over the top like action. It was absolutely insane. If you've ever seen Chinese comic books, you should, because they're really crazy. But anyway, this kind of feels like that a little bit. Manhwa, that's Korean, I think. I might be wrong about that though. But anyway,
T for teen.
Menghuo, maybe? I'm not sure. But this is supposed to have a kind of comic book art style. And this is just like the art, but I kind of like, yeah, it has like that, for the gameplay, it has this. Drop the beat.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like a side-scrolling game. It looks like it has a interesting story to it.
Metroidvania kind of aesthetics going on.
Bosses. And this game is, I think it's out. And Mr. 03 said it was, he enjoyed it quite a bit. So I like the style. And it's kind of, the time period looks like it's you know, maybe Boxer Rebellion time. I mean, based on just like the way the characters are dressed and stuff.
Right.
So this is basically like, yeah, the music is cool too, right? So yeah, Tian Ding. So that looks pretty good, I think. Ninjas. It made me think of a game that was in a movie a kid was playing on a Game Gear, ninjas and stuff. Yeah, it kind of like, you know, like Shinobi. Remember that game, Shinobi? Anybody? It was an old like Sega Genesis title. So anyway, so there's that. And let's see what else we got. And if you have anything, John, you want to send like a link to something you want us to get some eyes on, just put it through the Discord.
Oh yeah. At the moment, I can't think of anything this week necessarily. Like I've been sick during the past week, so like I finally am now just kind of like getting back to where it's like, I feel like I can stay awake all day and whatnot again. But yeah, no, like I'll probably be a little bit more input based. Yeah, next week, like Monday is gonna kind of be like a day that I actually get to have like some John time.
Oh, cool. Yeah. We all needs a little John time. Dean Domino says I played Shinobi on the PS2. Yeah, I own that one still. That's one of the hardest games I ever played, dude. Like people talk about Ninja Gaiden and shit, but like Shinobi on the PS2, it was great, but it was hard. It was great though. Like I wish Sega would reinvest in that franchise because that was a good game. They could totally like go with that. But anyway, all right.
Gaiden.
Yeah. Next up, we got Gear Bits, and Gear Bits is like if you're a fan of like mecha games, Gundam, Armored Core, but you want something a little bit more, maybe like less technical, but it's still a lot of fun. This one looks pretty promising as well. So I'm gonna play this trailer for this. This is Gear Bits. And it's got customization, and you can see that it has a low poly kind of simplistic art style, but it's enough. It gets the job done. And again, reminds me of old school Armored Core. So, and I don't know if it also has a story, although the story is pretty straightforward. You get a mission and you go, there's some like, some politics in the story as well. So that is Gear Bits. Some images from it.
Very Mobile Suit Gundam.
And you have to manage your. Yeah, you have to manage your health and your fuel. It's like on the on the side there. That's just like old school Armored Core for sure. We have to worry about overheating, and you can see that it's an indie game. And currently it is $10, very cheap. Yeah, so a cheap little game. Not bad. Looks pretty cool. Again, if you like mecha, you might like Gear Bits. So yeah, let us move on to the next thing here. This is the one that Heels versus Babyface recommended. The person mentioned to me. It's called Witchfire, and this one looked really good too. I remember seeing the trailer for this a while back. You're like, essentially, is this out? Because it's early access. No, it's out. Wait. Get involved as it develops. It's $40, but you're like a witch hunter. Like, so if you like Solomon Kane, I love Solomon Kane.
Right.
Or
you could say that we're modern day witch hunters,
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, you could say that.
Searching out those DEI witches,
Yeah. So Witchfire puts you in the shoes of a wicked sinner turned witch hunter on his final mission to reach salvation. Sounds awesome to me. So let's look at this trailer. Single player, dark. I'm okay with it being single player. RPG shooter. It looks really good. I have this terrifying fear that it won't play on my machine. But maybe I'm wrong. It's $40. Maybe it's more of a AA. I mean, I don't know how big this is.
Steam Deck compliant.
But that's not why I'm here. I know what I've done, and I need to pay for it. Dead, hunting witches, with witchfire in my blood. I'm a sinner, an abomination, and our only hope.
Particle effects.
Yeah.
Kind of got a Bioshocky kind of sensibility to it.
There's different classes. I get definitely a Vermintide vibe from it, Vermintide 2, and Bloodborne a little bit, because that's the aesthetic.
Yep.
So yeah, Witchfire looks good. You know, and again, the purpose of this is essentially to say, look, you always have options. You are the consumer. This is very important. You have a right to do with what you want with your money. These people cannot shame you.
PI games. Yeah, well, we're showing you. Yeah, here it is. I almost want to like go and like, you know, like find that trans allure that was complaining and just be like, here, this is what it is. Have another tism.
Yeah. So there you go. That's Witchfire.
I think that.
Yeah.
There's more than enough talent, skill, and ability, and you know, artistic integrity in the game industry. Along with everybody's backlog of games, like that's the thing that's so hilarious about.
Oh yeah, we already
like,
exactly
itself on fire, you know.
Yeah. We already have a backlog, right? That's why I'm like, I'm not really all that much in a hurry, you know.
Right.
I'm doing good. I'm fine.
And I am more interested in these games that are sub $50 because it's like, all right, well, I got so much going on. Like, if I'm gonna add something to it, then I don't want to like spend tons of money because I might not even be able to get around to it for like couple years.
Yeah, Witchfire's $40. That's pretty solid. I'm gonna check and see if this runs on my current rig. Maybe this could be a good kind of Halloween-y game to play. So I don't know. I'll keep you all posted. All right, next
I don't know if it's Steam Deck verified, and
I'll
maybe check into it myself.
And now I'm going to show the next game, Lethal Company. This is a co-op horror game about scavenging and abandoned moons to sell scrap to the company. So, and it's gotten very good reviews, overwhelmingly positive. It's got online co-op, it's or single player. You can share it. So if you have like, you know, the family sharing thing on Steam where even if somebody doesn't own the game, they could play it with you. It's kind of like a streaming thing, I guess. So let's take a look at this. This is Lethal Company.
The company is hired. You'll have your very own ship, your very own crew. Your job? Collect worthless garbage to return to the company desk. It's easy.
I'm sure my friend Dan and the rest of his gaming clan, the Nimrods, play this one.
You do? Lethal Company?
I think so. Pretty sure.
Dean Domino says, saw loads of streamers playing Lethal Company. Well, you know, it's $10. It's only $10. So
I think, let me double check. I might even have it in my Steam library.
Yeah. So that's Lethal Company. It's, you know, atmospheric, a co-op, $9.99. I have it in my wish list right now. And yeah, I mean, it looks good. I love co-op games. I think that they're so much fun. So let me see here. What was I gonna look at? Oh yeah, that's it. So we're gonna move on to the next one. Oh my God, leave me alone. All right. So we're going to go to the next one. And this is, share it with you, Trench Tales. And Trench Tales is a story. This is another one that I believe somebody mentioned in the chat here. So Trench Tales is a story-driven third-person action game set in a dark alternative world between World War I and World War II. Harness unique powers, customize your arsenal, and navigate haunting Gothic landscapes. Battle fallen soldiers as you uncover the mysteries of this realm. Yeah, thank you, Dean Domino. It was you.
Oh no, I was thinking of Content Warning is the one that I have.
I have Content Warning as well.
But
yeah.
Yes, yep.
I like this already. I like the aesthetic. So it's between World War I and II. Oh, destructible environments is freaking cool.
Nice. Nice. So it's like Red Faction, but in reality, rather than Mars.
Yeah. Are you a German? Because he has a spike on his helmet. That's not... You can't do that. That's not allowed. The World War I Germans were basically Nazis, right?
Right. Between World War I and II. Harness unique powers, customize.
Damn, trench sales sounds very cool. Yeah, it looks good. It looks good. So yeah, that's a good one. Okay, last we got this game called Rogue Flight. I literally saw the trailer for this morning. And I gotta tell you, I don't know why, but it just like, it hit me. It looked good to me. Okay, so this is essentially an arcade-style space combat game. It looks like it's inspired by a prestige anime. I don't know what anime it is, but it looks kind of like Star Fox, at like the old school one. If it was like at a higher speed, and that's why I got interested.
Right.
So
E12.
Oh yeah.
Wait till you see they show the gameplay towards the end of the trailer.
It was Argus, the Watchman system given control.
You like the music already? Yeah.
When it turned on us, there was no warning. The war, such as it was over in less than 3 days. For 3 years, we hid, foraged, and survived before, incredibly, we found the arrow. In the time before the war, we once relied upon battalions of such craft numbering in the hundreds. And now, our hopes all hinge on the fate of but one.
Look at their gameplay. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's like dogfighting.
Yeah.
I think it's, and they're saying it's arcade style, so.
Yeah. Got great kind of anime music.
Anime characters.
Yeah.
3 years ago, it won the battle.
Thank you, Little Miss Anonymous.
3 days.
Hit that like button.
War had started. Isn't over.
Kind of like Last Starfighter, but animated.
Yeah, like I said, I get Star Fox vibes from it. There was this old arcade game back in the day. It's called Mach 5. Does anyone remember the arcade game Mach 5? Anybody? It was they did this really genius thing where you were the jet that you piloted was done with pixels, and it was like this same perspective where you're like Afterburner, where you're behind it, you know. But the actual like field that you were flying through was actually like a video, so it to feel more realistic. I'm gonna look it up really quick. Hold on.
Right.
I want to see if anybody's got footage. It was Mach 5 or Mach 3, or maybe there was a Mach 3 and they made a sequel for it. This was an old arcade game. Let me see. Arcade. I'd be surprised if anybody still had it, but I wouldn't. I kind of want to know. Mach 3 Laserdisc. No, that's not it. Well, that looks like it might be, but Mach Storm. No, dude, where is it? I don't think.
It never made it to the internet. It was.
Yeah,
there are a few things that you know the old internet just doesn't exist anymore. Oh,
I found it. I'm pretty sure I found it. But yeah, let me just it might not show much. Oh, this is an ad. Hold on a second. Let me skip the ad, and I'll put it on screen for you guys.
Yeah.
So somebody play. I think they didn't play the whole thing, but I want you to see what this looks like because this is Let me widen it a little bit. Theater mode. Here we go. This is literally the arcade booting up. It was on Laserdisc, kind of like how the original Dragon's Lair. Yeah, it was on Laserdisc as well. So let me jump ahead a little bit. Yeah, these are the scores, right? So you can see how old school this is. Okay. Mach 3 laser game, 3 lives for 2 coins. Yeah, it was like 50 cents to play. And this is how they did it. Back then, we had to like find creative workarounds, whereas we don't have to.
Stuff.
Yeah. Yep. So you pick the fighter game or the bomber game. If you pick the fighter game, it's a different perspective, basically. This is just a little bit of gaming history, guys.
Yeah. Oh, title.
It had like a seat, and the controller was like a stick, like a flight stick, with like buttons on it. So as you can see, we were blown away by this back then.
Yeah.
But you weren't really in control of where you went. You were just moving around the screen, shooting at things. And then they had like a real area that you were flying through, and they would record that. And this was like, people were lining up to play it.
I would imagine, especially back in 1983.
Yeah, 1983. Yep. Yeah. Oh, love me some game history. Well, here you go.
I mean, 1983, like, the height of, like, something like this in your house in 83 would have been damn near.
Oh yeah, that's like being a millionaire. Like,
right.
This game, I remember this game when I first saw it. It was in like a drugstore, like by my house.
Right.
Yeah, and then Surf Ninjas was the movie with the Game Gear. Okay. So anyway, I don't want to play the whole thing. You guys get the idea. So that's Mach 3. And yeah, it was like a big freaking deal back then. So
yeah, I used to play Afterburner back in the day, like
Afterburner,
like we had what was it's called not Video Kingdom. That was like the name of the old video store, but like the Fun Center or the Fun Palace, and like you would go in, you would pay $5. And you would play arcade games for, I think it was 3 hours for $5. And this is like back in like the 90s here in the middle of America in the Midwest. And that's where I used to play Afterburner like to no end. And like they even had like the holographic Sega game where you like were going through time battling people and all kinds of really yeah. Games used to really be like, quite, inspired.
They were all about the fun. And a lot of times there were people who had like really big ideas, but we just didn't have the tech to do it. And now we do. And like everything is like, poisoned essentially by these ideas. So anyway, I'm going to end the show there though. We've gone long enough. Thank you for coming out and letting me know what do you think about the games that we just showcased here at the end. I'm interested in a lot of them. I can't get them all. By the way, that one I just showed you guys, Rogue Flight. Let me just put on the screen again really quick. There is a demo right now you can play. So if you want to try it out, just download the demo, check it out, see if it is for you. So anyway. With all that said, though, I want to say thanks to all of you for joining me on the stream. Thank you, John, for hanging out. If you guys like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, hit the bell for notifications. Yeah. Leave me a comment. Let us know what you guys think about what we talked about on the show.
If you don't mind, before we get off completely, I just do a quick rundown. Tomorrow, I will be doing Will of the Fans live, where we'll be talking about Doctor Who stuff, and then we'll do our reality-based show in the afternoon, where CEO of Cult, who made Great Rebellion, will be our guest. And so, like, I think it'll be kind of interesting, kind of like, pick his brain on some of this stuff that's currently going on. And then, like I say, thankfully I've got Monday off. And then that'll bring us back around again for Tuesday. But yeah,
all right.
Definitely stop by, check that stuff out tomorrow. And other than that, have a fun-filled, remainder of your day and a wonderful weekend going forward, and safe travels ahead and all that wonderful stuff that I always say. And yeah, there we go.
All right. Well, thanks guys for coming on the show. And again, please share this video, because sharing is caring. Thank you so much for coming on today's episode of The Week in Culture. And we'll talk to you guys in the next video. Long live Vivian.
With the glass ceiling broken, all the oppressed groups shall prosper, especially the most oppressed group of all, gamers.
I want people in the industry to be a little bit louder about people being mean to other people, and maybe say it's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Maybe say, we don't want you around if you're going to be a cunt.
Yeah.
And hateful. And that the games industry is diverse naturally. Not because anyone's making them be diverse. Because the world is diverse, you stupid motherfucker. And if you have a problem with that, come fight me. Physically. Bitch.
Has anyone taken you up on that yet?
No, because they're all pussies.
Yep.
Down here, salt is a way of life.
Obviously, the environment down here is all salt. The ceiling's salt, the floor is salt, the walls are salt, and to an extent, the air is salt. And you breathe that in, and you can constantly taste the salt.